just stop. Welcome everybody to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. This is our free 149th roundtable. As you probably know, the 1M1M program has a stated mission of helping a million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond by 2020, build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. As I always say to our attendees is that our success is predicated on your success. So we are here, we've been here religiously, almost every Thursday, all year long, for a couple of years. Before that, we had lower frequency, but we have been doing this kind of free mentoring sessions since 2008, the fall of 2008, when my first book came out. So it's an interesting journey. We are coming up to our 150th roundtable, for which we are going to be doing a celebration. This is going to be right after Thanksgiving on November 29th. So definitely register for that. We'll be announcing some interesting things there. We will have a recording of this roundtable available if you would like to refer back to it or share it. We had a problem with last week's roundtable, so that has not been published. If you're live tweeting the show, please use the hashtag 1M1M. And if you're following us on Twitter, that's at 1M by 1M and at Sramana. We are going to start with Abhik Kumar Pal. Abhik is a premium member, and he's based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Abhik, if you could unmute your line and tell us what you're doing. And by the way, meanwhile, all of you in the public chat, you are welcome to talk amongst yourselves, and I'll be using public chat for Q&A at the end of the session as well. So make sure you set up your public chat to send to all participants. All right, Abhik, over to you.
Thank you, Sramana, and good morning. I hope you can hear me well.
Yep.
Thank you. So this is my first pitch at the 1M1M Roundtable. Definitely excited and looking forward to this opportunity to talk to you in person. Also, I'm a first-time entrepreneur. I guess most folks are here. As far as clinical trial is concerned, it's in a very, very early stage. So, you might find more questions than content in my deck, and I look forward to some of your guidance and pointers as a takeaway from this session. So, basically, I'm Avik Pal, based in the Bay Area, and company is ClinTrial, as you said, focused on technology-enabled solution to support clinical trials. So there are basically two very important milestones in any clinical trial. One is the recruitment of participants, and that kind of concludes as a logical end with a signature of an ICF, or the informed consent form. And the second one is collecting of ongoing clinical trial data, and ClinTrial kind of supports both. Now, to give a little background on this informed consent form, this is very regulated by regulatory bodies as to what needs to go in that content, and has to be properly understood by the participant before they sign it. Some of these trials can have a consent form which is as big as 20, 50 pages for one single participant, and a high-end clinical trial may register up to 5,000 plus patients to comply with FDA regulations. So you can see there's a lot of paperwork also that's involved, and then after both the signatures are done, there's a lot of scanning, uploading, and all that stuff. So our solution kind of automates that process and helps with back office automation per se. Now, just the nature of the beast, the whole drug development process is very expensive, and it typically can take up to $1.2 billion and almost 10 plus years. A big part of that time, 60 to 70% of the time, goes in conducting clinical trials alone. They are done in 4 phases: phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and that kind of takes a chunk of the time. So we feel that there's a big room to basically fasten the go-to market, and even if you can reduce it by 6 months, 1 year, or more, it's a huge benefit. Amit,
what parts of this 10-year process can you squeeze? Because some of it is a regulatory process which you don't really have control over.
No. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The first few years is the drug development and all that stuff, and regulatory, getting the authorization from FDA to actually try it on humans. All those things we cannot touch. And fortunately, they are like 2-3 years upfront. After that, there is 6-7 years of just conducting the trial itself. It's like operational thing, following certain protocols. So we don't have any control on setting the protocols, but on the operational front, following certain protocols and optimizing it is where we are focusing.
Okay.
Now, so yeah, as I said before, the go-to-market time is what. Now these are, as I said, very time-consuming, very costly. The third point, it's a little, it's basically lack of transparency. And I'll give you, certain. There are tons of stories you can, Google up, where data has been forged in spite of, lots of regulations from very high-end authorities. Patient data has been forged, patient identity has been forged, those kind of things. And there are, big articles from Stanford universities who talks just about on that and why, some of these checks and balances need to be in place. So the solution that we are trying to bring in, I've brought in some biometrics as part of the registration process itself that may not eliminate all the loopholes, but at least bring in some additional checks and balances. And also, since the solution is a smartphone-enabled solution, it brings in all the other features like GPS and timestamp and device integration, bunch of other things that can help make the process even more smooth.
Okay.
The other one is trials require huge patient recruitment. We obviously cannot help with that. But the second part is reduce attrition. That's where we can help by making this process seamless, by helping with the technology solution to cut down people's travel back and forth to the clinic, giving them convenience, doing certain things from the convenience of home. Those are things that actually reduces the attrition. And
what kind of things can they do from home?
Some low-hanging fruits we can do from home, which does not require a hell lot of hospital-related or machine-intensive studies. For example, you probably have to do the first few rounds, which is blood test, urine test, sample, whatever it is, at the facility. But after that, if it's like taking a pill and measuring your blood pressure, doing it for a period of 3 months, you can pretty much do all that from home.
You have the equipment at home.
You have to have the equipment. Oh, yeah. And one of the things that we are trying to do is bring in some device integration with smartphones. That way, some of the medical device integration. So that way, that process also is kind of streamlined further.
Okay. So what is the answer to my earlier question? Of the 10+ years, how much goes into drug development and regulatory processes? And how much goes into, more operations-related stuff which you can impact?
Yeah. So if you look at it, the clinical trials is the kind of mostly the operational part, and which is about 6-7 years. If I take that 60-70% frame, and the other 3 years, let's say, most of it is before that, which is the drug, the molecule, the R&D that goes behind it, and the approval process to get the approval before you can start the trial, which is trying it on humans.
In that 60-70% of the time spent, how much of it is you have to sometimes you have to go through a treatment and you have to give it a certain amount of time to see how this drug plays out, or
yes.
Impact the body. There's time, there's monitoring time that is built into that process. So you can't really cut that down either.
No, you're right. So basically, as I said, there are 4 phases, right? Phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, each of those 4 phases will have its own small subcycle of regulatory. And then during that, let's say you're doing phase 1, which is trying it just for efficacy on 25 patients or 100 patients. So you got all the regulatory done ahead of time, and then you're doing basically following the protocols. So that following the protocol is in a kind of major part. Now after that first phase is over, then you'll have a small window to understand and study that process and get the approval for phase 2. So that is in between small, so there'll be 3 more small processes between trial 1, trial 2, and then 2, 10, 3, and 4.
Okay.
So that's analysis part, which yeah, you're right, cannot be optimized. But as you can see, I mean those. At
the end of the day, you can squeeze this process by what, 20, 30%, 10%. What is your assessment?
Excellent question. I don't have an answer, Sramana, yet, but I think yes, I can. It can squeeze significantly. I mean, if you look at it, a single day for a typical phase 3 trial, a 1 day cost, average cost, median cost is about $36,000 1 day. So, and even if you can squeeze it by 6 months, it's for the big pharma companies, it may not be much, but it's still significant saving for the CROs and others.
Okay. Good.
Now, some of the other challenges, I mean, if you look at it differently, is currently, if you look at the competition, most of these is done basically on pen and paper, and then they use Excel for the lower ones. And for the high ends, there are certain electronic data capture (EDC) tools that are being used. But all of these require high-end computers and laptops and internet and all those other things, right? Which are difficult to set up for trials that are conducted in rural parts of India and Africa, which is increasingly being done more and more. So ours is a smartphone tablet enabled solution. It's very easy to carry, and it's very easy to, not much of upfront training and all those things required. So those are some of the other benefits on the side. One other benefit I would like to mention here is we have also included the feature of capturing all this data offline. So that way you don't need internet, and the data can be synced later. So the computer-enabled solutions don't give you some of those options. And again, it's not because it's any rocket science, but these apps and mobiles have only been around for just a couple of years.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Customer segmentation, very novice attempt, but it's a B2B model. So we'll be selling it to the pharmaceutical companies, and currently focused in terms of geography only in the United States. So want to be compliant with that. And a lot of these trials are actually run in India and Africa as well. But the laws of US kind of supersede the laws of India. So I'm hoping that
who runs India and Africa? Are they run by US organizations in India and Africa?
So basically, a pharmaceutical company may have its own trial division. So in that case, let's say SmithKline Beecham, they will, if they have their own wing, they will have offices in India and Africa that does it. Okay, some of the other ones have partners, and they are called CROs, clinical research organizations. Quintiles is a big name. So all they do is just take orders from these pharma companies and executes. So they don't have a role in in any of the other things. It's just it's like an outsourced model. So the CRO market is again a pretty big one, fragmented pretty much. But
the real sweet spot for your offering.
So so what I'm
development or the other like regulatory stuff. They just do the trials, right?
Yes, yes. But again, they don't have the power to adopt these. No, let me put it this way. Since the money is in the hands of the pharma companies, they are the ones who is shelling out the dollars. The decisions are made at that level. So CROs are kind of executions.
Yeah, but this is an execution process. It is not a. It's something that enhances the operational efficiency of clinical research or clinical trials.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why if you see down below, that's my thought process is that CROs can be potential customers, but it can also be potential partners. And influencers are. Sorry?
That is your primary customer.
So are you saying CRO is my primary customer, or I didn't follow you?
That's my gut, that CRO is your primary customer. You have to validate that, but my guess is CRO is your primary customer.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Right.
With all these operational issues, what will happen is if you try to work with the top pharmas and the organizations are complex and some of them outsource to CROs anyway, and it's going to be all over the place. Whereas this is very targeted. As your market entry strategy, maybe you are going to go to all the other stuff later, but as a market entry strategy, most straightforward place to go would be the CROs.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. I was thinking about it, and I'm still thinking about it. But thanks for your thoughts.
Yeah. CROs, and that's I don't know how many of these roundtables you have attended, but you've heard me say this to many of your peers in the program that I strongly recommend that you go talk to 100 in your target customer base and have at-length discussions about their process and blah, 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 and you'll very clearly understand what they're looking for, what they're willing to pay for a solution if the pain point is strong enough, and so on.
Perfect. Okay. So yep. Okay, this is a very busy slide all over the place. I basically, Sramana, I looked at your went through your the SAM-TAM module. Definitely understood the concept, but I'm still struggling to find source of how to get data points and to do a kind of a bottom-up SAM. So here at a high level,
your bottom-up is this: you have 1,100 CROs. I don't know what size and so forth. You have to make an assumption of your pricing model, and you have to who's willing. If there is a segmentation in that 1,100, I don't know what your pricing is going to be. Is it going to be based on per trial pricing? Is it going to be,
So if you look up top, my thought is per trial there'll be an upfront cost, and then per patient there'll be a licensing fee into the number. So a phase 1 trial with 100 patients will have, let's say, X dollars plus 100 into Y, and phase 4 trial with 5,000 patients will have some other upfront cost, and unit price will remain the same.
You need to create a spreadsheet model which segments your 1,100 CROs into the different size. How many participants, how many trials a year, kind of thing, and then apply your pricing formula. And, and roll that up and see what kind of TAM you get.
Got it. Okay, perfect. I'll give it a shot. And Sramana, on that point, are there I've been trying to get these data points through Googling, but are there a better way to get some of these statistical data?
What kind of statistical data?
So I have a list of, let's say, all these 1,100. It's available on the internet, but what kind of segment? How many of them are in US? How many in India? How many are in phase 1, phase 2?
I have no idea. You go search and figure it out. I have no idea. I don't have any domain knowledge on clinical trials. So
no. Sites like Hoover's or.
Hold on. That industry may have market research. That industry may have specific commentators who comment on those things. There are, like you have quoted a McKinsey report here, there may be actually small research firms that focus on that industry. There is somebody I can introduce you to who, just send me an email. I will introduce you to someone in Florida that actually, this is a small firm that for a year was a part of the 1M1M premium program, VOI Consulting. They focus on clinical trials. You can talk to them and see if they have any more data that you're looking for.
Okay, great. I'll send you a note. Okay. So, okay. On the previous slide, in terms of, I didn't do this SAM, but the TAM was currently about 35 billion and is expected to be about 65 in 2011. But again, this is the whole CRO market. Mine will be a subset of that.
Have nothing to do with that market. Your market is a tiny fraction of that market. That is the operational part of that market. So do what I said in terms of calculating, a TAM for that market.
Okay. I'll do that. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So again, this is also in nascent stages. I mean, we've done the prototype, and more focus was spent on that and validating with people in the field in my circle, and again going back to that. So not much of effort has been given on this one, but based on the conversations I had, one of the key things was to focus highly on how to handle the data and be FDA compliant, and if that can be addressed, this will have some takers. So and it's
none of this is actually key. The real key to what you're doing is to work directly with CROs. You need to find the list of CROs. You need to find the contacts inside there. You need to look for email lists of those organizations, and you have to basically talk to them. You have to run email marketing campaigns on them, and so forth. So that you have to go very specific with that industry to be able to reach that industry. You have to understand. I don't know if there are blogs that the CROs read, but if there are specific domain-specific blogs, then you could go to those. But you really have to go deep into the domain, because it's not generic stuff, right? It's highly You have to go, and the beauty of highly specialized things is that you don't have to boil the ocean. You have to basically go very domain specific and go, hit that segment.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. Customer validation, again, I mean, whatever I've done is mostly on the universities and working with research institutes and universities, mostly locally, Stanford Med School, Berkeley, Cal Pacific, Parkinson's, and others. I haven't done much with the CROs, but that's what I'm going to do in terms of validation next up.
That's your next step. I think you need to find at least 100 CROs who are willing to talk to you and are interested in this value proposition and take it from there.
Okay, perfect. Okay. That's all I had in terms of some of the requirements. One, as I said, was sources or
you don't have any validation, you don't have a product, you don't have any customers. There is no revenue sharing and channel partnership for a long time.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sramana.
All right. So, but you have a very clear action plan. You have to go talk to 100 CROs and run your value proposition through them and figure out how they react to it, how much they're willing to pay, are they willing to give you advances to, developing the product.
Got it. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. Devendra Singh, Retail Biz. What is Retail Biz? Devendra, could you unmute your line?
Yes. Yeah, I'm there, Sramana. Sramana, first of all, thank you very much for giving the opportunity to discuss the idea.
My pleasure.
So, in a nutshell, if I describe Retail Biz is a knowledge hub that's for the professionals and the entrepreneur who want to move into the online retail space. So just to give you a background how this idea came to my mind, I'm working with a company known as InSync. I'm sure you are aware of that. So what InSync does, they are doing a lot of stuff for e-commerce people. So I was trying to look for an online course for my own team, because I know that it's not about technology. When you work for a customer, it's more about the domain knowledge. And I really could not find any place wherein I can get all those knowledge in a particular format which I can give it to my team and they can learn it. So then this idea came to my mind. Secondly, there is a lot of e-commerce potential coming in India. So I read few of the reports and then I saw a very clear gap. This idea specifically focused into Indian market, and I could see a very clear gap in terms of the human resource which are going to serve this industry. So what I started off with is I started off with a blog just to see that what traction this particular idea has in the market. Are people really looking for content in this particular space, or they are happy with what they have? So then I got connected with a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of professionals in this online retail space. And what feedback I got, I interviewed some 20-30 odd entrepreneurs from all the segments, some which are doing really good, some of these startups. And the feedback I got is that there is a clear-cut gap in terms of the resource pool that they need, because most of the businesses which are running are by the entrepreneurs themselves, and entrepreneurs are coming from two places. Either they are from the technology world or they are from the brick and mortar retail space. So people who are coming from the technology world, they are good at technology, but they really lack in the hardcore retail knowledge. And people who are coming from the background of the brick and mortar retail, they are lacking on the technology front. Another thing which I identified while talking to some of the entrepreneurs is that, specifically in the brick and mortar structure, their line of thought is that all the back-end process and other things, what there has been worked in the brick and mortar structure will also work in the online retail. And with the same thought, when they went to market, they failed. So they were more concentrated, like they will be happy moving on the brick and mortar. So that way, I talked to them and I was trying to explain to them that it's not only about the technology, all the processes, including the backend, they work differently for the online retail space. So, feedback, confident working on this particular idea. So, can you move to next slide, please? So, what we have done till date is that 3 months back we have gone live with a blog. So, what we are doing in this blog, we are trying to push in very clear, very small segmented knowledge base is going there. And this knowledge base is highly focused on the business process. We are not talking about the finance part of it. We are just talking about the business process. We have published more than 70 articles. I have interviewed some 20-25 entrepreneurs. So I have published their view on technology. Then we have our presence on Facebook, which has got some fair traction with some 700 likes. LinkedIn has helped me a lot in connecting to the entrepreneurs. Twitter, I won't say it went very good, but yeah, we had some followers, but somehow it was not going that great. So now my plan is that it has to move to next level. So for next level, the first product which I want to go on with is an online learning course. So this online learning course has to be focused on the business process side. When I say business process side, is like, suppose, first thing from the entrepreneur's perspective. So thinking from the entrepreneur's perspective, suppose I have spent my 4 years or 5 years in a company like TCS, Cognizant, or any company working on a PHP or a .NET platform, and I think that now let's come up with one of the online shop, then those people can come to a course of a 1 month or a 2 month duration, wherein I understand that in 2 months you won't be able to know everything. There are many things you have to try and learn, but at least they will come to know, okay, these are the things that, these are the basic things that need to be set up. Like from the supply chain perspective, you have to understand that it's not necessary that you need to have your warehouse at the first place. Dropshipping is something which can work for you. If you are trying to figure out, you can be a very good into coding, but when it comes to payment gateway, you have to understand that how you go and get be a merchant with a bank. And then what works into that space and what does not work into that space. So that's the way I'm trying to bring into the online course. So what challenges I am facing into that? First challenge is that making the audience understand, making the particular traditional retailers understand that there's a difference between brick and mortar retail and when you move to online retail. It's not only about technology. Second thing, I've got a very good response from the entrepreneurs, but from the professional side, the contribution that I want in terms of content is not coming because they're directly looking for some compensation against the content that they can provide. So now to get this particular content, some investment is required. The present company InSync is okay with the idea I'm working on. They are ready to invest to a certain extent. Like they know that I'm putting in time into that. They are okay with that. But to take it to next level, I need to form a team. And then, that team needs some investment. So those are the challenges I am facing. So I have the first question I have is that, what do you think about the viability of the idea?
I don't think this is a fundable idea.
Okay.
At least not at this point for sure. I don't know if it is fundable long term, but companies that are at concept stage don't get funded. You have to understand that and not wait for funds.
See, investment, I'm not saying, I won't go directly to investors. I understand that they are not going to fund me, and that's not the idea. For the investment, what I've thought is that I'll talk to entrepreneurs. I will let them know that, see, this is the way it is going to help you, because they also need human resource when they grow. So, from that convincing factor, if I can, I can tell them that, I will develop the resource pool and you can have access to that resource pool, so some membership kind of a concept can come into picture.
And
or, some boots.
That with entrepreneurs, are they willing to pay for that?
I talked to some 4 or 5, they were willing, but when it really comes to writing on the check and just having a conversation, things are different. So
yeah, I'm not sure. See, the way you phrase it, you say that people are going to contribute content and they're just going to, I mean, what is your domain expertise? Do you know anything about what you're trying to teach?
Yeah, I have worked into this online retail segment. From last 3 years, I am working into this with InSync. So I understand the customer requirement and then core domain.
Hold on. InSync is not InSync doesn't give you knowledge of the space, right? I mean, you don't know anything about brick and mortar retail. You don't know anything about the back end of an e-commerce business.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know anything about merchandising. You don't know anything about logistics. You don't know anything about warehouse management. How are you going to teach something? I mean, either so I'm going to ask you to go look at a case study called Plural Sites.
Okay.
My blog, and it has nothing to do with e-commerce, but it has a model of how to build an online education business.
Okay.
And you have to get very specific. If you're going to teach merchandising for electronic commerce, then you need to get experts in merchandising work with you and create that content. If you're going to provide content on logistics, back-end logistics of our e-commerce, you need to get people who are experts in that area, because you don't know anything about any of that.
True, very true.
Similarly, even, maybe you know how to set up a merchant gateway because of your experience working in online. There are pieces on the technology side that you can yourself produce content on, but for the vast majority of things, you don't know how to do this. So I'll tell you what Pluralsight does is, and their focus is actually technical education, engineering, software programming kind of stuff. And of course, it's not like they know every single domain of software programming. There are lots of different areas of software programming that they are producing courses on. And what they've done is they've invited experts in those areas to come and build their own courses, and they have a royalty sharing deal. They sell those courses and they share royalties. They pay royalties on those courses.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea.
And those kinds of models, that kind of model would work in what you're trying to do. Those kinds of models would work. And that's a 100% bootstrapped company.
Okay.
Out of Utah.
So, would you suggest that because it would be more of a bootstrap, I don't have that much of fundraising with me, should I invite experts from different domain, as you said, and do some royalty sharing with them, or should I try to hire people from mid experience? Because what I'm trying to do, content is the main thing. The quality of the content which is going into the market, that is going to attract the customers for me. So which one would you suggest would be a better way?
You can't hire. You don't have any money to hire. How are you going to hire? One thing you'll see in 1M1M is we're a very pragmatic program. We don't paint pictures in the sky. We work on putting one step before the other and pragmatic steps where, things that are viable and achievable by entrepreneurs who do not have a lot of capital. So I can't ask you to go hire because you will not be able to hire because you have no money to hire with.
True, very true.
Right? So you have to come up with a practical solution. So I guess your first order of business is to go study the plural site case study and kind of map out a plan using that basic structure.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
I think that is a model that is bootstrappable, and that is something that you could model after. If you do want to do an online education play in that space, then that might be a reasonable module a reasonable case study to model after.
Sure. I will have a look at it and try to follow the same. So, see, like right now what I'm trying to do is trying to build up my connection with both on the professional and the entrepreneur side. So I think that is the one step that I'm going correct, because I will get, people from that space only.
You can build the connections, but you're going to need an engagement model with which to work with them.
Okay. So first engagement should be with the professionals, because they would be the one who would be more interested in contributing and getting into the royalty business kind of a model.
Find people who are interested in contributing in that manner. An entrepreneur who is running a online retail company may not have the time to do that.
Definitely.
So you're going to need to find people who have the expertise to do that and want to do that and are willing to send. I mean, it takes a lot of time to build an online course module.
Yeah, it takes.
So it's not something. We teach. We have the same business, but we teach. It's taken us a long time. It has taken us 6 years to build the case studies that we have put together and on which the curriculum has developed.
Okay. So.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Sramana. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. So we actually only have a couple of presenters today, and I have a bit of a cutoff in the next 15-20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is take you through very quickly how to use the 1M1M program if you're considering doing that, and then do a little Q&A and then wrap up the session, okay? So before we do that, I want to repeat my request to you is let other entrepreneurs know, just like InSync, for instance. Devendra works with InSync, so I imagine that, Devendra, you heard about 1M1M through InSync. InSync is part of the premium program. Definitely, if you are finding the program useful, please let other people know so that people use the program. So here are the resources from 1M1M side that you can use. First and foremost, we have a blog, and I just referred Devendra to go look at a case study in the blog. All the case studies are available. 6 years worth of case study development, all of it is available on the blog for free. So you can definitely look at the case studies and you can learn a lot from them just by looking around. And the entire process is free. Then we have the Entrepreneur Journeys book series, which we've published 4 volumes of Entrepreneur Journeys books, and they're available on Amazon Kindle internationally and in India from Flipkart. There are 2 cornerstone philosophies of 1M1M, and those are bootstrapping and positioning. So we have 2 dedicated volumes, one on bootstrapping and one on positioning. And all the entire book series, again, is using case studies. So it's case studies, analysis, synthesis. That's the format of these books. And as I said, the blog is at sramanamitra.com. Plus, we have these free mentoring sessions. Every Thursday almost, we have 1M1M strategy roundtables. We are coming up to our 150th roundtable. The next roundtable actually is going to be the 150th roundtable. Over 10,000 people have attended. We've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs. So this is a very, tried and true program that has been going for a long, long time. On top of that, we have the premium program, which is a $1,000 annual membership fee, where we provide extensive methodology guidance. We have a curriculum that I'll talk to you more about. That is one of the main pieces of the program. And within the curriculum, you can also ask questions on specific topics that you are working on, which we see a lot of. Somebody is working on a specific campaign or a specific validation problem. They would ask a lot of questions in the curriculum module itself. And as a result, we have a lot of extensions that have developed in the curriculum because of these dialogues amongst entrepreneurs. We also do a lot of business development work. Where appropriate, we connect the dots and we interact with, we introduce our members with potential customers, channel partners, investors, media analysts, wherever we can connect the dots, we will do that. And this kind of strategy consulting, you could call it strategy consulting, you could call it mentoring, you could call it coaching, all of that. We have a private version of this, members-only version of this that happens, behind the paywall. We also help you with financing, of course. If you're a fundable business, we will help you with financing, make the introductions, and so forth. And then we do a lot of work in the media. We have tremendous clout in the media. So you will see constantly articles from, 1M1M, mostly in my name, all over the media. We have syndicated columns all over the place. So our entrepreneurs get a lot of coverage through those channels. So one place I would direct you to is the 1M1M self-assessment. So if you haven't done that, please go through that page, and it will help you ask the right questions. And if you're a premium member, there are curriculum modules attached to them to plug your knowledge gaps in each of these areas. Like Abhik was asking about market sizing. Actually the curriculum takes you through how to do bottom-up TAM analysis, and you could ask questions. Again, if you're structuring a model, a TAM model, you could run that model by me either at a roundtable like Abhik did today, or you could ask questions in the curriculum module as well. So there's instances of that all over the place. The site, by the way, is 1m1m.com. On the top right corner, on the black bar, you will see what to expect from the premium program. The premium program button gives you more details. And there is FAQs and video FAQs also on that. So you should be able to find lots of information if you're evaluating the program on whether to join or not. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startup. So we start with the assumption that concepts don't get funded. We don't make that assumption up, by the way. That is the reality. That is why we start with that assumption, is that concepts do not get funded. You have to do a certain amount of bootstrap validation before a concept can get funded. So that's what you're going to, when you come into the program, you have to accept that as your guidance factor. Now, on the curriculum, we have 2 elements of the curriculum. One is the core block, and then there's the elective blocks. In the core curriculum, we tackle 7 topics which every entrepreneur has to master: bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, team building. And on the elective side, you have to deal with basically what we offer you are modules that align with deal flows, where the entrepreneurial industry right now has lots of deal flow, lots of entrepreneurial activity. So Web 3.2 and e-commerce, we have lots of web companies, e-commerce companies coming into the program all the time, cloud computing and business solutions, outsourcing and consulting, mobile and social apps, healthcare IT, online education / educational technology, gaming. These are the main areas. We actually do not do the capital intensive stuff like clean tech, semiconductor systems. None of those are part of the program. Now, the way we deliver the curriculum is in form of case studies and video lectures. As I said, we've been developing case studies for 6 years, and we started putting the curriculum together at the in the middle of 2010. And today, and we've kind of continued to add case studies as well as synthesis videos and stuff since then. So today the curriculum is very mature, and it's being used extensively by our premium members, and it's very effective. If you talk to the premium members who are using the curriculum effectively, they're finding tremendous amounts of value in the curriculum. So this is, if you're looking for a cost-effective, efficient, time-efficient, entrepreneurship MBA without the degree or a diploma, this is it. This is the best program around. And it comes with lots of other things, right? It comes with all the mentoring. It comes with all the connecting of the dots, all the virtual incubation stuff. We are a virtual incubator, so you will get not only a curriculum, but you get all the other frills. That's it. That's all about the 1M1M program. We do have an affiliate program, so if you're a entrepreneurship development organization trying to figure out how to work with 1M1M, we'll be very happy to work with you as an affiliate partner. And upcoming roundtables, we have our 150th on November 29th, and then December 6th, 13th, 17th, 20th are all upcoming roundtables. Okay, so the other little piece of resource is Vision India 2020. If you are at a stage where you're contemplating entrepreneurship, you don't have an idea yet, this is a book that's worth looking at. It has $45 billion business ideas. It's written as if we are sitting in 2020 looking back on building these companies. So it's a futuristic retrospective, so to speak. It's business fiction. And you're very welcome to take any of these modules and build. And we actually have a module dedicated to Vision India 2020 in the 1M1M program as well. That's it as far as the formal part of the program today. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to use the public chat, and I will be happy to answer. Anybody? So folks, just a clarification, our program is entirely focused on IT and IT-enabled services. I gave you a list of the different kinds of businesses that we focus on, and the elective modules basically outline what those businesses are. So we do not do anything outside of this range of possibilities. So we don't do very capital-intensive, large manufacturing companies and so on and so forth. So just, that's a caveat. If you're looking for a program that will help you build a company, let's say a hotel or a manufacturing plant, that's not what we do. Anybody else? And by the way, this is also a good time to introduce your projects. This is if you tell us more about what you are doing, that would also be interesting, because most of the time this is the area for networking as well. The public chat is where the networking happens during these sessions. Akashdeep Hawaldar, your question: what is the overlap between EJ 1 to 4 and the premium program? Well, EJ 1 through 4 was written well before the premium program came about. So it scratches the surface. So you will get some of the bootstrapping and positioning philosophies there. You will get some of the case studies actually in EJ1, EJ2 and 3. Bootstrapping is 2 and positioning is 3. But it doesn't have the video lectures and the synthesis of those programs, and just the volume of case studies. Across EJ1 and 4, there is a total of, I think, about 42 case studies. I can't remember exactly. And in the program itself, there are over 600 case studies. So the premium program is a humongous superset of the EJ series. But you will learn a lot from the EJ series as well. If you're looking to start somewhere, you can certainly start on the EJ series. On the other hand, if you're looking for a very compressed, quick ramp up, I would say budget about 50 hours for the core curriculum and 50 hours for the electives, and go through the premium program curriculum as soon as possible, and that would be the fastest way to bring your knowledge up to speed. That investment will put you at par with any Silicon Valley entrepreneur in terms of knowledge. No matter where you are. You could be in a village in Malaysia, you will be at the same level of knowledge. Premium program is not available on a disk. Nothing is available outside of the online program. Sandeep Mishra, we are developing automated traders for stock market. We have new ideas, implementing new architecture and developing human-friendly trading systems. However, trading is a very old business and it's also a big market. Do you fund on new ideas in these sections? We also have a functional prototype. Sandeep, 1M1M is not a fund. We don't fund anything. We help you with your funding process. We help you develop. It's an incubator that helps you navigate the early stage of your business, and that may or may not include funding. If your business is fundable, then we will help you navigate the funding market. If your business is not fundable, we will help you figure out fundable as in VC or angel funding. There are other ways of building businesses as well, and we will help you navigate those. So I don't know what exactly your automated traders for stock market idea is. Yes, you should definitely sign up to present at a session and get feedback. Absolutely. These free sessions, as I said, happen on a regular basis. Let me put up the schedule. So you can sign up to pitch at one of the upcoming sessions, and we'll make sure that we listen to you and give you feedback, specific feedback. That's exactly what these sessions are for. Anybody else? Any other introductions or Akashdeep Hawaldar question is, I'm amazed at the simple yet impactful coverage of EJ series, which begs my next question. How was your experience with Book Search CreateSpace? It was fantastic. Akashdeep, I worked with Book Search CreateSpace on, I published 5 books in a 2-year period, which would have absolutely not been possible with any mainstream publisher. I actually worked in parallel with Hachette India to release EJ1 and 2 in India under the Hachette label, and then I decided to basically not do that anymore for 3, 4, and Vision India 2020, just because it was not worth my time, frankly. It was time intensive, the royalty structure was terrible, and I basically decided that we'll just make the books available through Flipkart in India, and whoever wants the books can buy through Flipkart. We're just not going to go through the trouble anymore. And today, actually, Amazon's coverage is much bigger. Amazon has, Amazon covers Spain, France, Germany. They're starting to cover India. So Amazon continues to grow, and as a result, basically EJ is available internationally. They ship internationally. Kindle is now being sold internationally. So, I mean, basically for me, I do not want to spend any more time on chasing traditional publishers at this point of my life because I'm extremely busy. So it's just not worth my time to do anything other than what we are doing with Book Search Create Space on Amazon. By the way, for those of you who do not know, Book Search Create Space is Amazon's label for digital publishing. They work with you to release books under the Book Search Create Space label, and it's a very efficient process. Okay? Anybody else? I don't know, Akashdeep, your question, does premium program cover reality distortion field? I don't know what your question means, and obviously not in that case. I don't think it's a serious question. No, I don't think it is a serious question, because reality distortion field is kind of a sarcastic term that was used to define what Steve Jobs did. You know, it's kind of a description of his psychology. He created a reality distortion field in his own mind to convince himself. I mean, reality distortion field is just a sarcastic terminology. It's not a real phenomenon. So you can't teach reality distortion field. The definition of reality distortion field, as I understand it, is that it's a psychological process that you know, Steve Jobs created in his own mind to convince himself that he was going to do what he was going to do. And my terminology for that is vision, basically. He had vision, and he had vision and conviction. So it's basically, and that vision and conviction, when you transmit that vision and conviction broadly to a large number of people and convince them that this can be done, this can be achieved, and you bring your team along to achieve those things, that's that's basically real good execution of a vision. So reality distortion field is kind of a sarcastic term applied to an extreme case of implementing that basic leadership principle. Arun Kumar asks, hi Sramana, nice to meet you over this webinar. I'm planning to start a business of ordering groceries through the net. It is a fairly new concept at Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Wanted to know your thoughts on this business. This is not a new concept elsewhere. This is a concept that has been very widely practiced, and it's available widely, actually. And yeah, I think the concept is perfectly viable, and I encourage you to develop it. By the way, there is a lot of this going on right now, and I see my mom has cell phone numbers of a bunch of her grocers in the bazaar in Calcutta. She has phone numbers for the fishmonger. She has phone numbers for the somebody who delivers fruits, and somebody who sells fruits, somebody who sells vegetables, and she orders stuff, and some of them deliver at the home. So if you can streamline that and turn that into a more organized process, yes, I don't see why not. It is not an organized sector. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And in India, a lot of these unorganized sectors are opportunities to organize them into streamlined processes by using the web and mobile interfaces on smartphones and so forth. You have to take into account the smartphone penetration, internet penetration, and all that, but there is adequate internet penetration and smartphone penetration, especially in the affluent classes, that you can start offering these kinds of services to people with that kind of access. Anybody else? Oh, that's a very long conversation. I recommend that you start learning the program to answer those questions. I can't really give you a lecture on market sizing right now in 2 seconds. Anybody else? Any other questions? On making investments in the US, what does that mean? You want to be an investor, an angel investor in the United States? Is that the question, Akashdeep? No startup. So you have to explain. I don't understand the question. So you are a startup and you want to start a US subsidiary, or you want to start marketing in your product in the US? What exactly is the question? You want to start a US-based startup? Is that what you're asking? Is that the question, Akashdeep? Okay. You know, we don't deal with legal and you know, statutory issues. So we don't deal with how to incorporate a company in the US and so forth. There's a case study in our program called My Corporation. You can look at that. My Corporation is a website that you know, you can just over a credit card, you can set up a company in the US. But the legalities of that, you know, who is allowed to do that, who is not allowed to do that, do you need to be a citizen, do you need to do blah, blah, that we don't deal with any of that. Our program is, at this point, maybe somewhere down the road we're going to do all these things, but at this point our program is entirely focused on how to build a business in terms of customers, revenues, and profits. So we help you acquire customers. That's the first and foremost you know, area that we work on, and then we also work on the investment part of it. So customers, channel partners, media, all the ways that you get your product out there to the go-to-market strategy, positioning, go-to-market, customer validation, customer acquisition, and financing related stuff. That's our core competency. But there are other places where you can find that information. It's actually widely available. The information on how to incorporate, who is allowed to incorporate, and all that stuff is widely available on the internet. So that's why one of the reasons why we have chosen not to do any of that. And frankly, Akashdeep, I'm not sure it's necessary for you to incorporate a company in the US. If you're not in the US, you should think twice why what is the business case for setting up a company in the US, because there are lots of you know, there are lots of repercussions on setting up something in the US, and there's filing requirements and so on and so forth that you have to keep up with to maintain a corporation in the US. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments or introductions? Oh, sure. That's exactly what we are here to do, is to patiently answer your questions. My pleasure. All right. Well, I have to go for a meeting, so I would like to wrap up the session today, and I look forward to seeing you at the 150th Roundtable for sure. Those of you who are premium members, we will see you next week at the private Roundtable. We do have a private Roundtable next week, but no public Roundtable because Thursday is Thanksgiving. We will renew on the 29th for the 150th, where we're going to have a special celebration. It's going to be a working session. You will see a bunch of premium members working with me. So we encourage you to look at that. And then we'll have our open sessions 6th, 13th, and 20th of December. That's pretty much it, folks. If you need to talk to somebody about joining the program, talk to Irina. It's Irina at 1M by 1M.com. You can coordinate with her. and get your questions answered. All right? Bye, everybody. Good luck with your businesses.